Hello?
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, Integration That Outperforms, Connecting JD Edwards to Salesforce CRM. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Glenn Johnson. I'm a Senior Vice President here at Magic Software Americas, and I'm joined today by Ryan Beck, a Senior Consultant with Magic Software. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you, Glenn.
And welcome to all of you. We're glad that you're here. If you have any questions for us as we proceed through the webinar, please feel free to enter them into the question or chat box, and we will look at those at the conclusion of today's formal presentation. Just before we begin, we know that many of you will be attending the Collaborate Users Conference for members of the Quest International Users Group and the other allied Oracle users groups. Those of you who are using JD Edwards, typically this is the major event of the year for JD Edwards users, and so we thought we would just take just a brief moment to preview our activities at Collaborate, and then we'll go directly into the specific subject matter here of connecting JD Edwards to Salesforce CRM. As always, these shows have major swag involved, and so we'll be giving away Chrome HDD TV players to a lucky viewer of any of the in-booth demos that we have scheduled, and we also have entry in the Questopoly drawing, which is the Google Nexus 7. So to take your Questopoly ticket out of your registration material, bring it by booth 1208, and you'll be entered for that. And then, of course, the JD Edwards Alliance has two $500 gift cards that they're giving away. One at the Wednesday night JD Edwards Alliance party, and another at near the end of the day on Thursday. So great stuff. More importantly, the demos and education sessions you're invited to. Come by the way, on Monday night, the welcome party. Some of you don't know about that. That's at 6 o'clock on Monday evening. And Magic Software is one of the hosts there, and you'll see our light-up Magic glasses. They're always a hit every year. Tuesday evening, after the keynotes, we have 3 demos scheduled in the booth. We'll be giving away the Chrome HD TVs at each of these 3 scheduled demos. A demo on building new mobile apps that integrate with JD Edwards, Enterprise One and World integration demo at 7:30, and then at 8, a Salesforce integration demo, which would be an opportunity for you to interact directly with Ryan Beck, who's on today's broadcast, and will also be at Collaborate, showing the kinds of things that we'll be seeing in today's session. On Wednesday, don't drink too much the night before, because on Wednesday at 8:30 in the morning we have an educational breakout session. We're really looking forward to this. Scott Forge will be talking about their implementation of a proprietary estimating and a work order system, and how it's integrated with JD Edwards, their new JD Edwards system, and then it's really a legacy system that they're integrated to there. And Superior Industries will actually be talking about Salesforce integration to JD Edwards and a system that they have implemented there, also related to work orders. So very interesting use of CRM integration at Superior Industries, and how that's all connected seamlessly to JD Edwards. We'll also, that day at 1 o'clock, you'll have some free time. There's a Agile PLM integration demo at the Magic Software booth 1208, and at 1:30, PeopleSoft integration demo. Again, you'll be able to attend these demos and be a possible winner of the HTTV player. Believe me, the odds are much better than the lottery because it's a small booth and there can only be so many people that gather around for that. Now, on Thursday, we have our last 3 scheduled demos, the e-commerce, SharePoint, and mobile integration demos. And so you'll be seeing J.D. Edwards' e-commerce system like Magento, J.D. Edwards and SharePoint working together, and then a mobile integration demo again with J.D. Edwards. At 1 o'clock, you have 2 choices. We'll actually have a SharePoint presentation in the Microsoft Pavilion, booth 1625, and then at 1 o'clock, for those of you that are interested in mobile apps, working with J.D. Edwards, how to build custom mobile apps that work with J.D. Edwards very easily and integrate, that's going to be taking place at that time as well. The details are all on the Magic Software website and landing page as well. So let's get to today's topic. We want to talk about Salesforce CRM and connecting it with J.D. Edwards. Obviously, Oracle offers a number of ERP systems to the market under the J.D. Edwards brand. There are 2, J.D. Edwards Enterprise One and J.D. Edwards World. Our topic today is relevant for both. We have in the integration platform that we'll be introducing components, separate components for World and Enterprise One that automate the business process in similar ways. And of course, Oracle has its strategy, its other ERP systems, PeopleSoft Enterprise and Oracle E-Business Suite, and then it's a strategy moving forward with Fusion. Some people are looking at Fusion CRM for integration as well, so that's the ERP side of things. And on the CRM side of things, you do have choices, of course, in what CRM system you integrate to J.D. Edwards. There are a number of solutions from Oracle that are mentioned here. There also are third-party solutions. We'll be talking today specifically and in detail about Salesforce.com, but you could certainly look at a number of other options, some of them well-suited to environments like IBM, some of them more general solutions like Microsoft Dynamics CRM or Sugar CRM, and we would encourage you to bring any of those integration challenges to us, but of course many of you today are looking specifically at Salesforce, and so we'll focus on that. Just a word about Oracle's Fusion CRM. It is now being adopted by some J.D. Edwards customers, by J.D. Edwards customers, and as they're doing that, it creates a need for integration. So Magic has been involved in providing our XPI technology to these environments as well, so we have an excellent capability for handling that. So the reason we bring this up in a topic where we're discussing Salesforce is that the future is always uncertain and subject to change in IT. Systems are phased out and replaced. There are decisions that might be made to go to a cloud solution, and just as easily there can be decisions made to go to an on-premise system in the future or a different cloud system in the future. And so one of the benefits of working with an integration platform is that you have the flexibility to adapt your integration of business processes to your changing CRM integration landscape. So Oracle has a number of approaches to CRM. J.D. Edwards Enterprise One has a number of capabilities when it comes to CRM. It does the Salesforce automation and lead-to-order type of processes, has case management capabilities in the request-to-resolve business processes, and it has service management capabilities in the install-to-maintain business processes. So some organizations adopt the CRM module of J.D. Edwards. At times, they will integrate that to Salesforce. At other times, they'll use it on a standalone basis. There are still other customers who, of course, adopt not to obtain the Oracle CRM module and instead are using Salesforce with direct integration to other modules in Oracle ERP environments. And specifically in J.D. Edwards Enterprise One. So this is a solution that also has some branch scripting capabilities and a solution advisor capability related more to the service and case management aspects of the application. If we look at J.D. Edwards Enterprise One, Salesforce automation, as we said, is included, and you're working with lead-to-order business processes. The system begins, however, with leads and not lead generation. So this is a gap that causes some people to augment the capabilities of J.D. Edwards Enterprise One CRM systems. And there are other aspects of CRM that they may find that they want to meet with different systems, or they have just different sets of users in the organization, some using Salesforce, some using J.D. Edwards CRM, and so there's a need for some integration of these various systems. Also in Enterprise One, with the case management capabilities, it has the capability of dealing with install to maintain business processes, but it's not perfect. There are some real gaps in Enterprise One capabilities. For example, if you need field service management, mobile service apps, and so on, these are not a part of the solution. And so many customers are looking at some needs and requirements in that area. We should mention that there are some things going on in terms of mobility directly from Oracle. They have about 8 different solutions that are very specific business processes that have been mobilized and are available on mobile apps now. But in general, the overall mobile picture is like a checkerboard where most of the squares are empty, and there are only a few of these very specific solutions that are available. Now, if you have J.D. Edwards World 7.3 or even later, there's no CRM functionality, so World users are looking outside of J.D. Edwards for their CRM or Salesforce automation solutions, and that's causing the choice of many different CRM systems, including, of course, Salesforce. So as we look at sort of the ERP and the CRM modules that are available, the CRM applications that are available from Oracle and third parties, we can begin to see that already these choices create quite a complex number of possibilities for ERP to CRM functionality just within these two J.D. Edwards products that are part of J.D. Edwards brand. And we're happy to say at Magic that we have been called into all these situations where our technology is automating business processes in these various environments, and that is an experience level that is valuable, but also I think more fundamentally a tribute to the technology and the flexibility of the integration platform and how it deals with the various systems, both with pre-built adapters, as in the case of Salesforce and J.D. Edwards, as well as with technology adapters that interact with some of the more boutique or proprietary solutions that are on the market. CRM really needs the capability of integration in order to achieve its benefit, because its whole premise is based on having a 360-degree view of the customer around marketing, sales, service, and the various functions within an organization that interact with customers. Need to be able to see customer histories and opportunities and orders and leads and all the things that CRM systems are typically involved in tracking. So this involves us with a need for data integration, synchronous and asynchronous processes, rationalized information, and a way to orchestrate business processes. Without that, that 360-degree view is threatened because information sits in the ERP system and is unavailable to the CRM system and vice versa. These silos, of course, are often talked about in IT, silos of information, and also silos of business process silos, where there are gaps or processes are not seamless. Either data duplication is taking place, or there's some sort of manual IT process even that's taking place, like batch jobs that are administered by your staff and things like that. So this integration value gap creates a desire within businesses to automate and make seamless the integration that's taking place. And just because there's an API, a lot of people say, well, I have this solution. Or just because a press release is issued by Oracle and Salesforce, people say, well, I have this solution. But it's not the case, of course. APIs simply provide a way in and out of each target system. They don't provide the way of communicating and intermediating and disambiguating the information between those systems. And more importantly, they don't apply any of your business logic or business rules in doing so. So that's why there's this gap that needs to be managed. And if you're going to manage it elegantly, you want to do it with an environment that's designed to provide you with a business level view, business analyst view of those business processes and the ability to manage and control those business processes in between. So no need to panic. The value gap between ERP and CRM systems results from this process and data isolation, and it's really important that you integrate these processes in order to maximize each system's output, reduce errors, reducing costs. This integration will increase employee satisfaction just from the lack of frustration in the brokenness of the processes, and ultimately, and most importantly, perhaps improve customer service and bottom line business satisfaction. Because of the gap that's there, there are tangible business risks that should be avoided. The susceptibility of these processes to human error, to slow response times, increased process costs, decreased employee satisfaction, all would take place if we simply say we're doing nothing, we're not going to deal with that. So an organization that is considering what to do about this gap has choices. The first is to do nothing at all. The second choice would be to write your own code to solve the problem. The third might be to implement a large vendor middleware solution such as Oracle Fusion middleware, IBM WebSphere, something of this nature. And the fourth would be to select a J.D. Edwards-focused, Salesforce-focused application integration platform like Magic XPI. So let's talk about those first three choices. Doing nothing at all, of course, is the first of these common mistakes, and what tends to happen is that things get worse, and all those errors, all those risks that we talk about tend to get worse over time. And manual processes, of course, are not scalable, and therefore businesses can get into trouble. They can get into trouble all year long or at specific peak times, but these are things that cause the organization to say, we have to change this. We've got to be more responsive and more accurate in our business processes. So when we look at the second option, the spaghetti coding kind of approach, what you're creating is point-to-point programs that are by nature very fragile. They simply don't have the elegance of the integration platform or middleware solutions, in that there's no monitoring, there's no business process logic and control built in for things like error recovery and exceptions handling, and they're hard-coded, so there's no loose coupling in all of this. I mean, if you were to do that by writing manual code, you'd have to write an entire integration platform in order to deal with all of the possibilities, and that, in order to be loosely coupled, could take 100 man-years of development. So obviously anything's possible if you program long enough, but for typical point-to-point spaghetti integration, it has some serious drawbacks, and that's where middleware is looked at as a solution. Unfortunately, some of the middleware approaches that are out there are actually middleware brands and not specific platforms. And so those brands are comprised of 30, 40, 50 products to choose from, and not variations of a single product, but we're talking about actually literally different tool sets that are overlapping in many respects, that use different scripting languages in some instances, and ultimately just create a huge IT overhead and burden because of the complexity of learning all of these tools and integrating the middleware tools themselves with one another becomes a project unto itself. We're trying to avoid that, obviously. We want the project to be the project, which is integration, in this case, your CRM to your ERP. But when you have a platform-level tool that allows the business analyst to manage all of this without getting into the weeds of the technical details that underlie what needs to take place, you have some real power, and that's what we'll be showing you in today's demonstration. So Gartner has looked at the cost of all of this, and they've suggested that up to 40% of IT budgets are spent on integration. That's including the software, the support, the maintenance, and very importantly, the labor. An integration platform can reduce the cost of software integration by as much as 90%. So there's huge potential savings here in terms of your overall expense, frustration levels, and when you're comparing it to traditional middleware-based approaches. So an integration platform is really putting all of the pieces together in a way that allows you to avoid filling it with a sea of programmers, but instead bridging that gap properly. To do it properly, you need to take advantage of Salesforce's native capabilities and J.D. Edwards' native capabilities. Let's just talk specifically about Salesforce. I think most of you know that Magic XPI integration platform is the tool for J.D. Edwards integration. But what do you want to do on the Salesforce side? Let's talk about that, and then I'll hand it over to Ryan for the demo. 5 points here are the objects, the metadata, the bulk jobs, replication, and lead conversion. Magic XPI gives you capability for dealing with all of these various aspects of Salesforce, and the objects, of course, is the most powerful. Working with objects means that you have the ability to work with any Salesforce object, including custom objects, including applications that are built on the Force.com platform other than Salesforce CRM. So it's literally any object on the Force platform, not just within Salesforce CRM or various modules of Salesforce that you might have at the various levels of Salesforce that you purchased. So you have the ability to get the list of objects because it might be customized, it might be unique. You have the ability to get timestamp of those objects, to update the object structure, to merge objects, basically to do all of the interactions, the various CRUD functionality for creating, reading, updating, deleting, and so forth that you need in order to work with both the metadata and the data itself. So you can work with checking the state of the metadata, retrieving it. Salesforce's metadata is a key part of what's going on in the background behind the Salesforce environment, and therefore your ability to interact and integrate with that provides you with triggering and other kinds of important capabilities. And here again, you have the ability to interact with creating, reading, updating, deleting basic CRUD functionality as well. Bulk operations are kind of a secret in many respects. Some people don't know about this, but it's not a well-kept secret, of course. A lot of people know to use this. But bulk jobs in Salesforce provide scale to integration efforts that are very powerful. Magic XPI gives you full control over the bulk jobs that are taking place so that you can check the state of a bulk job, retrieve its results, abort the job, interact and trigger with it in the ways that you need to. Many organizations are also worried about replication. They want to have the data not only in the cloud in Salesforce, but perhaps for regulatory reasons, perhaps for IT security reasons, or just a general business precaution in the high availability field. They you're looking to replicate that information, have it available at all times in another environment. So typically in your own environment, your own data centers, and the backup environments for those data centers. So replication is a capability of the Salesforce API, and you have full control of that through the Magic XPI integration platform, so that you can use the various approaches of replicating all or replicating last updates and last deletes. Finally, we wanted to mention that lead conversion, as this is one of the key business processes that people are typically looking at automating. Magic XPI also gives you full control over lead conversion, including the ability to deal with the accounts and contacts and opportunities. Salesforce is unique in its view of customer information from other CRM systems, and perhaps even from Intuition, in that they first deal with raw leads in a status known as a lead. And so that's it has its own information associated with it. And at a point in the business process, which is typically the point at which the lead is qualified by the salesperson, it changes from being a lead and is no longer visible as a lead, and now becomes three pieces of information, which is a contact, which are the individuals that are associated with an account being a company, basically, and then an opportunity, which is the lead information related to the specific need and the qualification of that need. You know, a lot of companies are using BANT qualification, budget, authority, need, timeline, but whatever means are used to qualify it. The opportunity then persists as a separate entity within Salesforce that is all three of these. The contacts, the accounts, and the opportunities are coming from what was initially just a raw lead or a suspect, if you will. So that's what happens at the moment of conversion, and you have full control over that conversion process through Magic XPI as well, so that if there's some external qualification that takes place or some external triggering, or you simply need for ERP systems to react to that converted status, so that now you may need those records created in the ERP system, because it's gone from being just a raw lead to being something that we're going to want to be prepared to deal with as a customer, prospective customer. Then you can do that. You can monitor those business processes, and anything that other status or data change can be used to trigger those kinds of decisions as well. So we're going to look at the Magic XPI integration platform, which provides you with this very open, loose kind of collaboration, loosely coupled integration capabilities, the ability to really streamline your business processes and to get transparency between applications, databases, and platforms. You're able to securely control and monitor your business processes at all layers, data, logic, information, and you have both real-time and asynchronous control, so that the result is smooth running business processes. The benefit is reduced operational costs, improved revenue performance, reduced business risks, and all of this is accomplished utilizing a platform which is code-free, has a metadata-driven integration studio, and very user-friendly tools. And we should mention is highly scalable with an in-memory data grid that uses right behind co-location of memory and processing and dynamic scaling in order to achieve a true elasticity of the integration environment, so that regardless of whether we're talking about hundreds of transactions or millions of transactions, you have scalability across your environment in order to simply keep up with whatever growth you may achieve in your organization. The architecture is therefore based on this highly scalable underlying in-memory data grid that gives you the business capabilities for business process orchestration, transformation, routing, transactions, monitoring, and management. And you accomplish this through a library of protocol adapters, enterprise adapters that give you access to databases and frameworks, various enterprise applications. And in addition to this, the capability of dealing with various messaging protocols and communication protocols and adding the business logic and so forth. So from a standpoint of what do you get with Magic XPI, you get the Magic XPI Studio, the Magic XPI Monitor, and the Magic XPI Server. The Studio is comprised of a flow editor at the detailed level, which references a topology editor and a business process architecture. As you're working through design of those business process flows, you can work with the data mapper, the checker, and the debugger as key components of that environment, which Ryan will show us in a moment. You have the ability to monitor what's going on through both dashboard and log views, and your Magic XPI server, of course, is running in the background, transacting all these processes in this highly scalable manner, regardless of the number of transactions. Just wanted to say a word about some mobile interactions. Some of you are looking for ways to do order tracking, highly related to your Salesforce processes, and also to be able to do sales order entry. And there are a number of integration targets for this that people are looking at. All of these can be handled by Magic XPI integration platform and then served up on the mobile device using Magic XPA technology, order fulfillment, and so on. So these are just a couple of the business processes that you might also want to look at in addition to what we'll be talking about in the demonstration today. Ultimately, what you get is the capabilities for many-to-many mobile integration with Magic's technology, so XPI becomes a key component of that. So at this point, I want to go ahead and stop with the formal slideshow presentation and transition to Ryan, who is going to actually give us the hands-on. We're going to see a live demonstration. So I want to share my screen with him. Let's do that. And he's going to share his screen with us so that we can actually see what's going on in Magic XPI and Salesforce and JD Edwards.
Great. Thank you, Glenn. So yeah, as he said, we're going to be basically doing a live demonstration of using Magic XPI to integrate some applications. And on the screen here, we've got Salesforce, which we're going to be entering some data into. And we're going to get that back to another application, namely JD Edwards. So let's see if I'm still logged in. Good, I am. All right, so what I'm going to do is if I wanted to add a new customer into JD Edwards, obviously I can come in here and say add and start typing them. But what we want to do is we're going to see it move automatically from the Salesforce side to the JD Edwards side. So let's go ahead and see if we have anybody with the name of, let's just say, I'm just going to make up a name, and we'll see if there's anybody named Ted. There's nobody named Ted. So what we'll do is we'll come back to our Salesforce, and we're going to go ahead and make a new account. And you'll see there's no new accounts this week, but we're going to make a new one on this side, and we'll call it Ted. And we'll put in some data for it. So let's give it a area code and phone number. And let's go ahead and we're going to set that we want it to go to Enterprise 1. I have a couple options here. Magic could send it to SAP or it could send it to World, but we're going to go to E1. And we'll go ahead and put in some addresses here. And just copy it to both sides. Okay, after I save this, you're going to notice, by the way, that the account number is blank. We're actually going to let that get assigned by JD Edwards. So after I've saved this, I'm going to go ahead and wait a couple seconds for the Magic XPI engine to realize that this has been created using our what's called a Salesforce trigger. It'll then pick up this record, go to the JD Edwards side, and call a business function that's going to add this record to the customer master or the who's who, and that's going to bring back an account number. So when I click refresh, after a couple seconds, we'll see not only will the account number pop in, but we're also going to see the modified date change from being from me to being to the integration server. So that'll be our cue that that it's been successfully done. And it's on about a 1 minute delay. So right now I'm just waiting for it to be done. Now it is. So you see the account number 77382 has been brought in, and also we see Magic XPI change the record about 1 minute after it was created. So I'm pretty confident if I come back here into JD Edwards and do a find again, we'll find our new record. I can select it, look at it, and see that it has all the same information that I inputted on the other side, of course. So if I go to the address, we'll have it there. So it's basically just doing a real-time integration between the application. So it's watching for an event to happen on the Salesforce side, and then it's going to go ahead and launch what we call flow and move that data over to, in this case, JD Edwards. So what we're essentially just doing is connecting applications and becoming the central orchestration of how that works and when it works and why it works. And it can go from, and Magic XPI is totally flexible, so data could move either way. The event could start in JD Edwards and then move to Salesforce, or it could go both ways at the same time. It's multi-threaded, so we can have multiple activities going on at the same time without slowing each other down. You saw that from the end user perspective, it was pretty transparent. I didn't have to click any buttons to make it happen, or I didn't have to know anything special. I basically just inputted the record into Salesforce, and it went over to JD Edwards behind the scenes. That's because Magic is a server-to-server architecture. There's no software to install on the end user's desktop. There's no maintenance of that. There's nothing that they have to know to make it work, because in the background, Magic XPI is sitting here in our server in Southern California talking to JD Edwards and is talking to Salesforce. The end user could be anywhere, in another country or another on their phone on the beach or something like that. They don't need to have any special software installed at all. It's all server-to-server integration. So in order to make that all work, we have, I'm going to go a little bit behind the scenes and show you the Magic XPI Studio, which is designed to basically create the integration that I just showed you. So it all starts with what we call a Salesforce trigger, and that's this little icon up here. And each one of these little icons is what we call a component. And the components are basically the core of the studio. They're how we define our integration flows. So if I have here a component that says JDE, that's because it's going and talking to JDE. I can drag a JD Edwards component over from the bottom left here, the little palette, and drag it over and drop it on the flow, and have now a new component on there. I need to tell it what to do when it gets to that step, so I just go right-click and hit Configuration, and it's going to ask me what business function I want to run. So the component now is going to explore the modules and DLLs in JD Edwards and see what business functions exist. So it went and found basically all the stock ones, or any custom ones, or any ones that have been modified as well. So it's doing an exploration to see what the environment looks like. It's not pre-built to go into 3 different business functions. It literally can use any business function in the system. So I'm going to then say I want to edit a sales order, hit Get. I'll see the sales order edit one and select that one. And then now I can go and work with this business function in what we call a data mapper, where I can explore all the different parameters that it can receive, like job number, sales order number, order total, things like that, and go and do an edit on that. What that looks like when you have it configured with the other side is this. This is the component that we just ran a minute ago. We ran an address book master edit. And on the left side, we have our Salesforce fields, which are things like name, city, street. On the right side is our JD Edwards address book master business function. So we just do our mapping between them. So I can say maybe I want to put shipping street into address line 2, 3, or maybe put that to there. I basically visually map between the 2 applications now, and I'm able then to just really quickly define how I want the information to move between them. The icons here are what we call components, because they're basically pre-built connectors that know how to connect to JD Edwards and know how to connect to Salesforce. And then what that does is it allows me to program at a higher level. I can just visually now connect them and not have to worry about all the hard bits about how to move data over the wire. And it's all basically, all that's handled in basically like a library, and then I simply bring all of the data points to the table and connect them. So it's a much quicker way of developing, and much easier to maintain, and easier to deploy, easier to understand an existing project. So it really makes a developer's life a lot easier. The end result is obviously we can go ahead and create a project much faster and much lower risk than any other method, like if you were to do this in .NET or do it in Java or do it in batch scripting. The Salesforce component follows the same methodology as JD Edwards. Obviously, instead of calling business functions, we're calling web services. So if I drag it over and drop it over here, excuse me, I can go ahead and get, I can see a list of all of the objects that exist on the Salesforce application. That means that if someone created any custom objects, you'll see those. Like here's a custom object, and see the _C there. Or if I see any stock objects, I can pick them. Also, even if I just go into a regular object like an account, there will be custom fields, and these custom fields here were added. So it's basically discovering any modifications that were made to the Salesforce environment automatically. It can see custom fields like orders and things like that, custom-related objects, and any other field that someone made. So the reason there is because no two Salesforce organizations are the same. Somebody's going to add an SLA or a stock quote or something like that, card codes. You can add all the custom fields you want, and they all come to the table when you get into the data mapper. It's capable of working with queries, creates, updates, deletes, as well as bulk operations. So if you need to move a lot of data, we can use the bulk updates and bulk creates, and then we don't burn through tons and tons of API calls, and we can do it much quicker, moving thousands and thousands of records per second. So the component's pretty flexible in how you want to do it. If I said I wanted to work with an upsert, as a for instance, I could go ahead and say OK, and then say map, and then I can see Salesforce as a destination. So then I can move data in and out of Salesforce very quickly. The components are designed to use all of the applications that we talked to through the correct APIs. There's no weird database backdoors or anything funny like that. When we're working with JD Edwards, we're calling business functions, and we're calling them as a given user. So the JD Edwards connection is defined right here. I've got my server name, I've got my environment name if I want to switch from dev to test or whatever, and I got a user and password. And what that means is I'm within the security context of that user. Whatever my credentials are I put in there, that's whatever that user can do in JD Edwards, that's the most that the integration server can do. So you can trim it down and make sure that I can only call objects and business functions that are necessary for the integration, not other things. Same thing in Salesforce. We're calling Salesforce as an API. You have a user. That user has rights in that Salesforce org, and then that's all you can do. So, so that means that not only are we following the correct security model of each side, but you also get all the data validation of JD Edwards, all the data validation of Salesforce that's done automatically, and also you'll also get your auditing. So you'll see audit trails of any objects that changed from when the integration server changes it. So we're obviously using all the correct APIs for any application we touch, whether it's Dynamics or Salesforce or JD Edwards or things like that. And that means that you can have a simple service account for your integration. Okay, so you create your flow here, and then you can create multiple flows, as you can see. They get deployed to what's called a Magic XPI server, which is basically just a really small footprinted server that would run in your organization on a physical server or a VM. And from there, we're just going to run in the background as a Windows service. It's kind of invisible, kind of just runs as a background service. We have a way of monitoring it to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and that's what's up on my screen right now. I have the Magic XPI monitor up that shows that I have a project called Collaborate 14 that will be running next week at Collaborate. Running. It's green. I've got other ones that are red. They're just shut off right now, and I can start and stop them and control them from here and turn them on and off. That means that, by the way, you can run multiple projects on one server. So once you've done one integration project, the tool is completely reusable. You can then go and do another one and then run it on the same server, and they don't really interfere with each other. They just sort of run at the same time. If I want to see what the Collaborate 14 one is doing right now, I can right-click and say Open Project. It's going to come up and show me every component that's running right now. Otherwise, I can filter it down and see only data that ran through. So I can see that at 11:37 local time, I had some data go to Enterprise 1, and I could also see if there were any errors, and there were no errors. So that's a really easy way to see if the application is doing what I expect it to do, how hard it's running, how long it's been running, how many messages went through it. So so basically, I have sort of a central command center here for my integration. That means that instead of having to go around 10 different servers and check if all my batch scripts are logging correctly to a text file, I have one central place where I can go and see in a live monitor what they're all doing right now and what they've done in the past. So going back to the studio, we have a lot of applications that are, a lot of components that are application specific, such as working with Dynamics or working with Exchange or working with, of course, Salesforce and JD Edwards. But we also have a lot of generic components as well that are really good at working with any integration. So we have our data mapper, which works with flat files. It works with positional files. It works with EDI type things. Or it'll also work with databases like SQL, Oracle, MySQL, Pervasive, DB2, anything you can get to with ODBC. And we also have the ability to use that to work with XML and work with all types of different data. So the data mapper is a pretty useful tool. Emails are very generic, so that allows us to go into anything and everything. So we also have, as I said, we also have generic components like web services, XML, working with data queues and things like that that are really useful, Word and Excel. So there's like over 60 components in the tool, and not every integration will use every single one, of course, but it opens up a lot of ways that you can reuse it. Also, once you've created your flows, you can actually publish them as either a web service or an RESTful HTTP web service. So, like, say I had other applications in my business that wanted to be able to do to send data to this or request data from this, I could create an HTTP trigger on my flow, and it would then allow me then to call it and basically run this flow on demand from an outside tool and get a response and find out if it works. So that gives you the ability to reuse all of your existing work in other applications as well. So what I'm going to do is go to Glenn and see if we have any questions. If you haven't typed any questions into the chat box, please do it now, and we'll see if there's any thing we can answer. If there's a longer, drawn-out question, you can always contact us later, and we can answer that offline.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Ryan. Might as well leave your screen up there for a moment as we wait for the questions to come in. Please type your questions into the question box or the chat box, and we'll be happy to answer those. So let's give people just a moment to enter their questions. Thanks, by the way, for the demonstration, Ryan. It was very good. And we're looking forward to seeing them all at Collaborate as well. I think it's going to be pretty exciting to see all of the different possibilities for JD Edwards integration there.
Sure. And while you mentioned it, also we did show E1 here. We're compatible with all different versions of E1 from 8.10 all the way up to 9.1, and with the newest tools release. And we also do support older versions of World as well, all the way from 7 to World 9. And we do that by using by basically being able to call RPG programs on the iSeries, which means that we can do real-time integration with World. We don't have to just load stuff into a Z table and then pray that it goes somewhere. We actually have the ability to do real-time integration with World.
Actually relates, I think, to the first question here. It says, what are the possibilities for the System I connector?
Right. The System I connector is kind of cool. It allows us to work very well with AS400s with data queues, physical files, calling programs, calling, moving, any type of work user space. The most common thing that this would be used for is we can actually call a program with parameters in, and it get parameters back out, including CL, RPG, and COBOL. And what that means is we could basically either A, process stuff that are in Z tables and Edwards, or B, just call any other program. So like if you want to have a, use that to get pricing or something like that, we can get a real-time price quote.
We have custom .NET applications that we want to integrate with JD Edwards. How would we do that?
Well, any modern application should probably have some kind of integration point, whether it's like a web service or a database stored procedure or something like that. If you are comfortable with .NET code, we can actually run .NET straight on our flow. So all I do is drag a .NET component over onto the flow and drop it. I'll give it a name, like whatever test. And it can be in C# or VB.NET. And you just say, okay, what it'll do is it's going to generate a project file that you go and paste your own code into. And then when it runs through here, it'll actually run the code right here on the flow inside of our engine, in our context. You can pass variables in and out. Same thing with Java, same thing with some other languages. And it just integrates here right in your flow.
Okay, great. Don't see any other questions coming in at this time, so I want to thank everyone for joining us, and thank you again, Ryan, for the demonstration. Everybody have a great day.